My parents don't like my boyfriend, so they gave me an ultimatum. Looking for experience and opinions. All are welcome. I'll try to make a long story short. I am an only child and my current boyfriend and I have been dating for 6 years, starting when I was 19 and he was 20. We met at junior college where we started dating and after that we went to different UCs but within an hour of each other. My parents met him early on by joining us at dinner, everything seemed to go well. Then soon after, we went to his parents' house who live about 2 hours from my parents so I could meet his family, and after learning this my mom told me how hurt she was that we didn't come to see them too. I expressed that this weekend was for me to meet his family, but it was clear that she felt almost betrayed. Fast forward, my parents invite me up to our cabin and my boyfriend joins. We take my car because it was already loaded with laundry etc. After we arrive, my dad pulls me aside and pretty much quietly yells at me how wrong it is that I drove and that we took my car. He's the man, he should be driving, blah blah blah. This started everything going forward on a sour note. The cabin is in Tahoe, it gets cold in the winter, so my boyfriend wore a sweatshirt with his hood up during some of the time at the cabin. My parents to this day cite this as weird and rude as well as a reason they don't like him. As we continue our relationship it's clear that my parents don't like him, but they can't really give up what I would call good or justifiable reasons. They'll say he's just not a good fit for the family. They don't tell me to stop dating him, because they can't, I'm an adult, but they do tell me that I need to keep them and him separate. They don't want to really hear about him and he's not welcome at their house or cabin. He's never cheated on me, abused me, he has no drug problems etc. Nothing that a normal parent would cite as a problem. Eventually it became an ultimatum given to me by my parents. They'd tell me that if you continue to date him, eventually it will be either him or us and you'll have to choose. Among other things they would tell me that he'd never be an attorney, which is what he wanted to do, and insinuating that he probably wouldn't be much of anything at all. After undergrad I started working at a financial firm. He graduated from undergrad at UC Berkeley and was accepted to law school across the country. We were always very serious about each other and made the decision to do long distance until he graduated and moved back to CA. My boyfriend has since graduated from law school, moved home, and took the bar last month. He starts work this October, and had a contract since last year. They have known about this as well. Now, 6 years into our relationship I call my parents and tell them that we are going to be moving in together. About 20 minutes later I get a text from my mom, saying that she doesn't want to rain on my parade but that this path excludes her and my dad from my future. That they love me but they can't be in my life if I choose to be with my boyfriend. I told them I would never understand. Since then, they have sent me more and more text messages saying stuff like, "We feel like we're losing our daughter, this is heartbreaking," etc. and all at the same time including that this is my choice and my fault. I texted my parents that I thought my boyfriend and I should come over and talk, that texting about this kind of thing is stupid, but not to be patronized or belittled, and if it turned to screaming that we would leave. My parents then replied that they wanted to see me face to face to talk but that my boyfriend isn't allowed. My boyfriend even called my father the night of the initial, "We can't be part of your life," text to try and talk or meet up and see if there was a way to talk through any legitimate concerns. My dad did not answer and responded until a week plus later, only to text him that they haven't really ever liked him, that he wants to work through it with me alone, and it's mine and my boyfriend's fault for not trying to address things earlier. Among other ridiculous reasons to not like my boyfriend were, Berkeley isn't a man's college. My dad. One time in college, my professor lost my final exam, and when I found out via my final grades and was frantically calling her to figure out what happened, my parents told my boyfriend, "See, this is why we didn't want her to have a boyfriend in college, they've found ways to blame him for everything." The only thing that ever had any merit was that he wasn't working yet. Well, this was because he was going to school to be a lawyer. Apparently marrying someone who will make a lot of money is a bad thing. My boyfriend is the nicest, most calm and peaceful person ever, and he loves me more than anything. But apparently their pride is more important than being wrong and accepting him. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if this is normal. Or if it's as wrong as it feels to my boyfriend and I. Boyfriend as well as my parents and myself are of the same race. Somewhat similar financial status as well. No important details left out, I promise. I wanted objective feedback. Believe me, if there was more, my parents would make it known to me and I would have included it in this post. Comment 1. 1. This is not normal. 2. The unreasonable ones here are your parents. I've dealt with this kind of BS on your boyfriend's end. My bet. There is nothing that your BF can do to make your parents like him. Because they would have a problem with anyone you dated, because you dating and having a totally normal healthy progression into adulthood relationship means that they get to have less influence in your life. Your parents are doing you a favor here. If they want this to be their hill to die on, let them die there. Update 2. My parents don't like my boyfriend, so they gave me an ultimatum. Update. Hi everyone, updating you all on this long-awaited resolution. After many more hurtful texts from my parents that said they can't accept my partner and that it doesn't matter if he's a good fit for me, if he's not a good fit for my family, then it's never going to work out, I went over in person to meet with them and pick up my legal documents. They made it clear that my boyfriend was not welcome and that this was a family matter they needed to speak with only me about. Clear manipulation obviously, so I went alone. I'm on my way, I know what I think and how I feel, I'm very sure of what I plan on saying. Thanks to Reddit I have additional confirmation that I'm not crazy or wrong or a bad person, but they are in fact in the wrong. It was strange, walking into your parents' house and feeling like you're meeting strangers. Kind of felt like having a 26-year-long relationship and being broken up with via text, then having to go pick up your shit and memories from your ex's house. Except that ex is your parents. After about an hour of small talk, we got into the nitty-gritty convo about the elephant in the room. A previous text that week had said, "We don't expect to change your mind, we just want to talk," but it's clear that this in-person meeting was a last-ditch attempt to shake me from my reality and into theirs. They came at me from every angle. He's not a man's man, Dad, I don't respect him, Dad, I hate him, he's taking away the most precious thing in our life, how could you not hate someone like that? Dad, even at some point physically threatening him. My mom was either agreeing or adding little tidbits and reminders of things she doesn't like about him. Some of which are things I mentioned in my previous post about when I went to meet his family and didn't see her and my dad too. Mentioning also that she doesn't like that I made the first move to talk to my boyfriend and not the other way around. You get the gist. It was all out war on my BF. They tell me I'm depriving them of a son-in-law. They say he is selfish for not breaking up with me years ago when he realized that my parents didn't like him. They even just started blindly throwing out shots like, I don't even know if he has any friends. Like WTF mom and dad, of course you don't shit about him because you've made me keep my relationship out of earshot for 6 years face with rolling eyes, but I digress. It ends up being a 3-hour-long conversation where I spoke for all of maybe 5 minutes with my heart rate at 150 the whole time, thanks for reminding me of that Apple Watch. They also don't fail to mention a few other shining points such as, "We knew you would put this on us. This is not an ultimatum, we are just reacting to your decision and choices." Was their reply to my saying, "This is not my choice, this is an ultimatum you've given me and neither my BF or I want this. We knew you would make us the bad guys because we're not #team boyfriend's name. Any of your friends and family who say we will come around or it will get better is lying to you and saying what you want to hear." They asked me why they should like or be impressed by my BF. I told them various accolades. Dad replied with, "Education doesn't impress me." I told them how wonderful he was through some of the toughest times in my life, college, and how he supported and kept me sane when even my parents were coming down on me about how I wasn't doing enough. They said, that's what any boyfriend would do. No, Mom and Dad, it's not, and the two of you certainly were making me feel worse that entire time. They said because my BF's dad helped him get through school by paying his tuition that he's had everything in his life handed to him. Dad said, I think your mom is having an epiphany about who you're becoming. Like I'm some monster. They said, we feel like you're not listening to us, because I'm not just blindly agreeing to break up with my BF. Dad said, this kind of thing happens all the time, as if that makes it normal or justified. At the end, I have to break the news that in between all of the hurtful texts and prior to this meeting, my BF and I signed a lease and moved in together. Nothing they were going to say was going to sway me otherwise, even they said that. So we had taken the leap and made the move the weekend before this meeting. I was commuting about 20 to 30 minutes before the move, and my commute is the same after the move. Only difference is we now live in the same city that my BF, new attorney with crazy early and late hours, works in. Believe me, I had all kinds of requirements prior to this move. It has to be safe, have an unit washer and dryer, safe parking, etc., and it's only for a year or two while we save dollars so we can buy a home. Contrary to my parents' belief, I'm capable of rational decisions. I tell them first that we signed the lease and where it is, to try and lighten the blow that I am outright disobeying them. They start going off about how, of course, making it easy on him again. They saw me always going to my BF's house as me catering to him, even though the only reason was because we were never comfortable being together at their house. Then of course he became essentially banished. So they see this move as me being some smitten teenaged idiot, not about how this is a relationship with compromise. They tell me that my commute is going to be brutal and that I'm lying to myself if I think it's not. Again, I have already been doing it for a week. I know it's not any worse, it's a prettier drive even. But it's clear that I can't slowly ease into it and I have to just rip off the band-aid because they are straight up just wrong and trying to convince me that I don't know what I'm talking about. So I say, I've already been doing it for a week. We moved in last weekend, woman shrugging medium skin tone. They are just dumbfounded. LOL. Like I thought you guys said you weren't planning on changing my mind, so why so surprised that I just went ahead and made my choice? My mom starts crying. My dad keeps saying, you fucked up kid. It's about 10 p.m. at this point, so now that they know I have a slightly longer drive home, they're kind of sweeping me out the door so I can get home before it gets too much later. My mom gives me this big sobbing hug. At this point I've run out of tears. I was crying throughout the entire conversation, but at this point was just over the bullshit. My dad, who rarely even tells me that he loves me, gives me this awkward desperate hug too that just kind of makes me roll my eyes. I get in the car and drive home just totally exhausted and confused. Truthfully, they did a good job of again making me question my own thoughts and choices. But I get home and just start spilling everything that they said to my BF. He's not surprised, but as I said in my last post, he remains Swiss in all of this and doesn't say anything shitty about them. He just holds me close and lets me vent. Something else that came up during our lovely 3-hour discussion was my anxiety. I have previously shared with them that I think they are a huge source of it and had been throughout my childhood as well. Prior discussions have always gone nowhere, you had it so easy, we don't ask that much of you, etc. Clearly not listening to me. So I brought it up again in this discussion, how my parents are a huge source of anxiety and my BF is a calm rock in all of it, that I'm so grateful he's such a great partner. My dad screams at me how he never laid *ing hand on me and how he was physically disciplined as a child and that he can't own that he and they could have anything to do with my being an anxious person. He even says, you need fucking therapy. Like, yes dad, thank you, I sure do, and also F you. Also said, I have a hard time swallowing that I had anything to do with your anxiety, you're going to have to work out those demons with yourself. All of this to say, the answer you've all waited for is that I moved in with my BF, am keeping mom and dad at arm's length, and also I have started therapy. It's 26 years of emotional abuse and narcissism to unpack and learn from, but I'm working through it. The guilt-tripping and lack of boundaries is so real and has been so real for forever. I know my situation isn't as bad as others and is also worse than others, but for all of you out there in similar situations, seek therapy. It is a really good thing. There's so much behavior to unlearn and grow from. Even if you don't think it's that bad and that you're doing fine, see a therapist if you can. Your abusers have learned behavior too. They have learned how to get to you and how to manipulate you, whether it's vindictive or not. They have learned how to make you do what they want and think what they think, and then they know how to make you feel horrible about doing anything differently. Seek counsel in family and friends whose advice you trust, seek therapy, and above all trust yourself. I still get very emotional about all of this, it's still a very fresh wound. I mourn the relationship I had with my mom and the one I will never have with my dad. My health is definitely suffering at the moment from all of the stress, but I'm working on getting my mental health back and I know my body will follow. Breaking the wheel is hard and terrifying. It's like being a crate-trained puppy forever and finally being allowed to go outside, but outside is unknown. The crate is all you know, and even though you know the crate is confining and freedom is in front of you, it's all so unfamiliar, uncertain, and frightening. You know what's behind you and it's easy to want to run back to it. But no matter what is in front of you, it's better than the crate. The crate is not living for yourself, it's living for someone else. So go out and make your own life. I hope this story can help someone else out there like me who was seeking validation about their feelings and situation. Thank you again to all the Redditors who shared their thoughtful insight and advice. It truly got me through the most difficult days of my life. Internet, 1 entitled Parents, 0. Comment 1. TBH, it sounds like your dad is intimidated by your boyfriend. Or feels like he's losing control of you to another male. Comment reply. It's the same with all abusers, they need control over you entirely. Whenever they see you with someone healthy, they panic as it will show you what's real love and how the things they do are not right. Also, it will mean you start to stand up for yourself. They can make you think black is white, but when you have a calm ear to confirm you are right and they are lying, it really helps you see their abuse. All abusers go mad when they think they are losing control. Even if it's because they went too far in their abuse. Suddenly they apologize when they never apologize or accept fault. Try to make you think things can be different to gain their control back. Pity is it's all a lie to gain control over your life again.